The House comes to questions for oral answer question number 1 in the name of Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he have confidence in the Minister of Building and Housing's ability to ensure there's sufficient building supply to meet demand, given statistics New Zealand says Auckland building consents in April were down 23% compared to last year?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, I do have confidence in the Minister. Many different agencies, including councils, are involved in ensuring that there's a sufficient supply of housing. And actually, in the year to April, the number of building consents issued in Auckland increased by 15% to more than 9,300. That's over twice the number 4 years ago.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he agree with Nick Smith's statement on the Auckland build rate that, quotes, "We need to get it up more, like 50 to 60 houses per working day, if we're going to make that material difference"?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, Nick Smith is right. We do need to build more than the 40 a day we're building. That's obviously a substantial increase from the 10 a day that we inherited when we came into office. And I think one of the ways to do that is to follow the Productivity Commission's view, which is to essentially get rid of the metropolitan urban limit. That is a policy that Labor supports, but interestingly enough, if I look to other political parties in the Parliament, they say relaxing Auckland's urban boundary will simply lead to further unsustainable urban sprawl and further congestion on Auckland roads. That, of course, is the Greens' position.
Order. 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 Order.
More to come.
Order.
Any more time?
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Given that answer and also his statement to the House yesterday...
Start the question again, Mr Little.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I will do that. Wouldn't want the members to miss out. Given that answer and also given his statement to the House yesterday that 40 houses a day are being built, how many houses a day is he currently falling short?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I just simply don't have that number.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Can he confirm that when he uses his figure of 40 houses a day, that he is talking about building consents, not actual houses completed? Oh, so it must be true.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the building consent rate that converts to building houses being met is virtually 100%, a little less than that, but it's very high.
Order. 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 Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
In view of his clarification that he is now talking about 40 consents a day, just how many families are living in those consents?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the government is building more houses than we've seen for a very long time in Auckland, 4 times the rate from when we came into office. But you know, when you have a piece of paper like a building consent, it means something. It's a bit like when you have an MOU. I suppose it means something.
Supplementary.
Order. 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 A little less interjection from both sides of the House, please. Andrew Little, supplementary question.
Mr Speaker, we don't need agreement with 4 other parties.
Order.
Mr.
Can
Speaker,
we have the supplementary question?
Isn't it? Oh!
Order.
Sauce for the goose.
Order. Order. Mr Little would assist me if he could just move to the supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
I'm obliged. Isn't it clear to him by now, as it is to everyone else, that there will be no end to the housing crisis unless the government plays its part by abolishing the Auckland urban growth boundary, stopping foreign speculators and building thousands of affordable homes for Kiwis to buy?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the government happens to agree that the metropolitan urban limit is a significant issue, which is why we effectively temporarily went around that with 154 special housing areas. It's why we happen to agree that the national policy statement, which effectively goes around the metropolitan urban limit, is the right thing to do. But, Mr Speaker, it doesn't really matter what the opposition think. We shouldn't listen to you, Phil. We just need to listen to Catherine Delahunty. She'll be the next housing person that speaks for Labour and the Greens.
Order. Order. I've been relatively patient so far, but it may not last for much longer. Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Of the 700 odd homes that have been built in the special housing areas over the last 3 years, how many have people actually living in them, and how many Aucklanders overall have been housed in the special housing areas?
The Right Honourable Prime
Mr.
Minister.
Speaker, I have no idea, but the member's happy to live in one with Andrew Little, because I wouldn't want to.
Order. 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 Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
How many plots of special housing area land are still vacant despite having the special housing area status?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The member would have to ask the Minister of Housing that question.
Order. Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Why does the Prime Minister not know how much land banking is going on in the special housing areas, given that this was his government's grand plan to build more houses for Auckland?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not the Minister for Housing, but what I do know is the National Policy Statement that will be announced very soon will ensure that land banking becomes a very difficult thing to do.
Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Does the Prime Minister not understand that without a government commitment to actually building more homes, all other policy options simply increases the risk of land banking and fuels the price growth in Auckland that now means the average price of a house in Auckland is nearly $1 million?
Mr. Speaker,
The Right Honourable Prime
the
Minister.
member's concerned about land banking. I look forward to her support for the National Policy Statement tomorrow. That will be quite different to the Greens' position on housing. And then in the end, we'll have to work out, whether, well, that's right, you're saying no, he's saying yes. What a mess.
Order. 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 Mr. Robertson. Order. Question. Order. Question number 2, David.